Hey, welcome to Wolf's Watch. Wolf here. Got a question for you. Have you ever been on a private jet, or have you ever served dinner on Skid Row? There's a reason I ask. Those are two very extremely different experiences and perspectives. How far out of your normal range of operation, if it is, if you have a private jet, congratulations. It's a very different experience. I've talked to those that have, and they've described it as a time machine. So it saves them so much time. Now, that's not why I bring that up. Those are two very different experiences. The reason I ask that is to probe into what you do to put yourself in experiences, in situations where it is very, very different from your normal routine, from what you normally do, from what you normally experience. You know, I had an opportunity to do a tour of a factory where they do the interiors for Gulfstream jets. Oh my gosh, it was unbelievable. Something completely different. I think about it every time I'm flying on the Cattle Express on commercial flights. And I'm just poking a little bit of fun. Most of the airlines are very good. There's one or two that you couldn't pay me to fly. I'm not here to bash them. If you want to have that conversation, shoot me a message. I'm more than happy to share my experiences. Some of them are very fun, like Southwest. Not a lot of amenities. They make an experience. They work to make the experience of flying as fun as possible for their team and for the passengers. I've heard commercial. Stumbling on my words today. I just got back from a little bit shy of 5 mile walk. Wasn't the Three Sisters Reserve hike that I like to. That's my latest brutal punishment. There's a 700 in my favorite section is on the way back. The second half of that particular hike, there's a 700 feet elevation change in 0.6 of a mile on a trail. So think about that. That's a bit of a workout. Now this was hills, so they're good elevation changes. So there were time, get the heart rate up, let it calm back down, and get it back up. So it was I was drenched wet with sweat by the time I got done with the hour and 20-minute walk. But that was something that was a different experience. That's what got me thinking about this topic today. That was a very different experience for me on a Friday afternoon. It was a change in schedule for me. Normally, I can't do something like that. And I was looking at, well, I can do this. I can just go, no, you know what? This is where I want to do something more physical. And I work out and I do some exercise daily. But to do something more physical, like the Three Sisters hike, there's other trails within reasonable distance to get to in our area. To do that at least 3 times a week. And I thought, you know what? Here's where I can fit in my third time out for the week. Because I'm not going to be able to have a group of guys that go in the evenings. I'm not going to be able to connect with them tonight because of another commitment. Then I did that. And it's a different perspective because there was virtually no one around. When I started, these are just on the streets. This isn't out, this isn't out in the wilderness. And it reminded me of how different experience helps trigger different thoughts, how important that is in learning, in stretching, in breaking out of routines that are beginning to constrain. That's right, because routines really create a box of perception that ties your thinking, frames your thinking, or also called paradigm, your paradigm frame. So how do you break out of that? One of the paradigm busters for me was when we get to spend a couple hours on a tour through where they're installing the interiors in these very, very luxurious jets and the different options that people were putting into these jets to fly. And because it some people may look at it and get resentful or jealous or whatever. It's like, well, if that's how you respond to it, this conversation isn't for you anyway. What it made me think was, how different that was from the experiences, having the difference, maybe think differently about private jets, because I'd actually been in one, gave me a different perspective On the other end of that, I've also had the experience of going down to Skid Row in Los Angeles, and we'd hand out clothing and food and spend some time with some of the folks down there. It did that, off and on over a long number of periods. The city shut that down. They didn't want us doing it anymore for whatever reason. Wasn't part of that conversation, but the area where we used to we'd actually host a gathering was no longer, they closed it to us, wasn't available anymore. So we weren't able to do that, but got to know some of the people who were there, some people who had made it out and then were coming back. We got to be friends. Very different perspective. So how does that affect your perspective when you do things like that? Think about what's possible. Think about things that are in a different way than you perceived them before. I perceived a private jet as an extreme luxury. I'd never thought of it as an investment or a time saver for someone that has an extremely hectic schedule, where face-to-face meetings are necessary, and being able to hop in a jet because that opens up hundreds of more airport options because they can land on shorter runways than commercial airliners. And it allows them to do point-to-point travel a lot faster. It's one perspective. Probably not all the travel that way have that perspective, but it was something I hadn't thought of before. So it had helped me think different. I look for opportunities like that to have experiences to help break that frame, break the paradigm, to help see something differently, see it from a different angle and go, oh, wow, it looks, this facet's like a diamond. You look at diamonds, the way they're cut, the sparkle when you twirl them around, they look a little bit different when you see the facets from different angles. Life's like that. Perception's like that. How are you putting yourself into what experiences are you queuing up for yourself to help with that? And also helps refresh. There's a whole lot that ties into that. Been reading a lot on the neuroscience behind it because I've known for a long time that experiential training is more effective for adults. There's a lot more science that helps back that up on why that is. What are you reading? Do you read a lot? No, if you mix the reading, learning from more traditional study, the things that we were taught growing up, right, and experiential activities, then it really enriches your thought processes. It's healthy for the brain. Neuroscience has been finding to do stuff like that. And it really cracks that paradigm a little bit so that you can find new innovations by thinking differently. If you want to think out of the box, I've heard that a lot in corporate environments. Think out of the box. Well, it's kind of ridiculous in the corporate environment because the corporate environment is all about creating a box for people to operate in so that you don't have complete anarchy, complete meltdown of the organization when you've got 20,000, 60,000 people. If you want to think out of the box, though, you got to be out of the box. How are you getting out of your box? Are you aware of what your box is? You may find some awareness about that box that doesn't serve you. And to actually experience is very different from seeing it on TV, watching it on a screen, reading about it in a book. Trust me, standing on the North Rim of Grand Canyon, like I did last summer, very, very different experience. There's just no way that can be packaged and put into a video to experience what it is really like. Jumping off a bridge with a rubber band tied to you, very, very different experience. Come jump off a bridge with me sometime. Trust me, our conversation at lunch will be way different than it would have been if we had just walked down to, local deli and grabbed a bite to eat and sat out the cafe style outside, watched the passing parade and had some conversation. Because just completely, some things are major radical shifts and some things are just a little nudge that can still make a big difference. So put in the comments, what experiences are you queuing up? Do you want to have that you haven't gotten to? The great shutdown, sure. That's not keeping you from having those kinds of experiences. It's not an excuse. That flies. So Put in the comments, what experiences have you had recently? What are you planning on coming up that you want to do? Maybe what's some of your bucket list and someday you'd like to? Who knows? Maybe we'll have something in common and we can plan that out, or I can connect you with other people that have something similar. I want to hear your comments. I want to read it. Stay connected. All right. This whole great shutdown is, yes, forced social physical distancing on us. Thanks to technology like this, we're able to continue to socially connect and hopefully build stronger relationships than ever. I know in several cases that's been true, and I'm working more to continue that. You should too, right? Because the person with the best, deepest, broadest network of relationships is the one that really wins in the game of life, right? Thanks for watching Wolf's Watch. Yeah, like our Facebook page. Appreciate that. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And again, comment. I want to hear your thoughts. And also, we put out some occasional once a month notes from Wolf's Watch, also from our TV show that we do, Leadership Insights. There's a lot of stuff that, we do summaries of insights from those interviews. There's also a lot of stuff that doesn't make it into the, stays on the cutting room floor from the TV episodes. We include some of those insights too. The only way you get access to those is if you're on the monthly newsletter. And it's just a once a month emailing. We don't sell, collect and sell private information. I hate that. Certainly not when it's done to me. Certainly not going to do it with you. Go to adventureceo.tv for more information on that. That's adventureceo.tv, and we can stay connected, give you some more information. So thanks for watching this episode of Wolf's Watch. I'm Wolf. I'll see you on the trail.